Hey everyone, in this video we're going to quickly review how to add or subtract or multiply or divide decimals. To add or subtract decimals, you have to line up the decimal points. And then you just add normally and the decimal point gets carried straight down. So for example, if you were to have something like 52.7 plus negative 29.62, remember that we have two numbers with differing signs. So what we're going to be doing is subtracting the smaller absolute value, 29.62, from the larger, which is 52.7. So here's 52.7, and I'm subtracting 29.62. Now, these two numbers don't have the same number of decimal digits, but there's a pretty easy fix for that. You can just add in a 0 when you don't have enough digits. And at the end, we carry the decimal point straight down. And since the larger absolute value is positive, this is our final answer. For a second example, doing a similar kind of thing, now 36, being an integer, doesn't have a decimal point displayed, but remember that the decimal point is always located directly to the right of the ones digit, which means it's right here. Again, you need to append some zeros. All right, and then we just subtract normally. And bring the decimal point straight down. Again, final answer is positive. So let's move on to multiplying. To multiply decimals, you need to determine the sign of the product. That's the first step whenever we're multiplying numbers together anyway. After that, we're going to temporarily ignore the decimal point and multiply the two numbers as if they're whole numbers. Once we do that, once we have an answer, we put in the decimal point. And the number of decimal places in the answer is the sum total of decimal places of both of the numbers being multiplied. So here's an example. If we're taking 4.8 times negative 11.67, first of all, since the two numbers have different signs, my answer is going to be negative, just to keep that in mind. And we're going to multiply the two numbers as if they're whole numbers. 11.67 times 4.8. Because when we pretend they're whole numbers, we completely ignore the decimal point. And so all that we line up is the last digit. Multiply like normal. All right, so here's our answer, 56016. Now we need to figure out where to put the decimal point. So in the first multiplicand, which is fancy talk for one of the numbers you're multiplying, we have two decimal places. And in the second, we have 1. So altogether, we have 3. And that means the decimal goes in to allow for 3 total decimal places in our answer. So at the end of the day, our answer is negative 56.016. And now how about division? To divide two decimals, you need to first determine the sign of the quotient. So here we've got two negative numbers being divided, which since they're the same sign, the quotient is going to be positive. And we're going to set it up like long division. So step 2 would be to make the divisor a whole number by moving the decimal point all the way to the right. So the decimal point is right next to the 1, which means I have to move it 2 places. And now what we're going to do is move the decimal point in the dividends. What's the dividend? That guy. We're going to move the decimal point in the dividend the same number of places that we moved it in the divisor. So that's 2. All right, now we're going to divide like normal using our favorite method of division. And the decimal point in the quotient is going to be directly above the decimal point in the dividends. Now, you might be wondering why this works, so here's something to keep in mind. When we're dividing, we're creating a fraction. And if we look at the denominator here, we have 0.15, which is 15 hundredths. So that is actually literally equal to 4.11 divided by 15 over 100, which is equal to 4.11 times 100 over 15, which is equal to 411 times 1 over 15, or 411 over 15, which you can see is exactly the division that we had right here. And that about wraps it up for this video.